Welcome, stereotypically 90s Japanese computer nerds, to Geek Salad Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight we are back with another, just ready to pound on Tokyo some more as we talk about Godzilla versus Destroyah.
Yes, this one has a lot of direct ties to 1954's Godzilla, so I think it's kind of appropriate that we do this one next.
Oh, you think? My God, there was actually, I just wish with all of the inserts that they used from the movie, I just wish they cleaned them up.
Yeah.
Like the audio was like, okay, so all of our audio is going to be like here, 54, back. I'm just happy that they tied everything back. That was kind of a big thing with this.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the heroes are Yamane's grandson.
Yeah.
The son and daughter of the guy who Yamane saved at the beginning of 1954.
Yeah.
Many references to Serizawa and the Oxygen Destroyer, obviously.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, I like the fact that there were quite a lot of good tie-ins to it, which I feel like there. I mean, and again, I should have watched a couple of other Godzilla movies in between just to kind of temper my expectations a little bit. I don't think there are any others that do this deep of a dive to try to associate with 54 as much as this one did. I
think maybe the only one that would have been 1984's Return of Godzilla, which was like the beginning of the Heisei era, which this one ends. Because basically when they rebooted it in 1984, they pretty much every Godzilla movie except for 1954's Godzilla, they none of that exists. This is the direct sequel to 1954, and then the next direct sequel, and then this one ends that era, and then after this they do a bunch of just kind of standalones. Right,
even though they do kind of insinuate that Junior is the new king of all monsters.
Right, yeah.
This was a weird one for me, though, in terms of just the overall presentation. Other than the tiebacks to 54, it really felt like just another Godzilla film.
Yeah, I kind of, as I was watching, I was like, I bet you he's not going to like this one as nearly as much.
I mean, there were some cool ideas. I like the fact that there's always stakes involved when Godzilla's going to stomp Tokyo. Yeah. This one is, putting it on a global scale that, Godzilla's heart is a thermal nuclear reactor, and if it blows up, everything on Earth is destroyed.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like most about this one is that, yeah, you've got the Destroyah showing up and all that, but overall, the overarching issue over this one is that Godzilla is melting down, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah. So that was kind of a cool thing. Overall, the creature of Destroyah, though,
the whole scene where they're battling the creatures in that. Guess what movie they derived a lot of inspiration from?
Aliens, rather. Yeah, exactly. I noticed that with the waist, the waist arms. They're also they try to pull out from Starship Troopers in that as well, which is weird because Starship Troopers came out in 97, but when it kind of merged into its final form, it felt like an action figure, like one of those just big, solid hunks of plastic. There was, other than the mouth, very little articulation in the actual thing.
Yeah,
it's like you spent all your money on Godzilla and then on the mini Destroyers.
Yeah, and they even had the double mouth going there.
What I want to really know, though, is what fetish was the guy who designed the women's G-Force suits trying to satiate? Because those things are straight out of Japanese schoolgirl stereotypes.
I will say, like, the woman that played Miki in that one,
Yeah.
Miki, she was like the psychic that was kind of losing her abilities.
Yeah.
She is actually, she has the record for having the most consecutive appearances in Godzilla films playing the same character.
Okay.
She first appeared in Godzilla versus Biollante, and then she appeared in every single Godzilla movie until this one. And honestly, beyond that, she really doesn't have a whole lot of credits to her role.
Right.
She retired pretty much shortly after this and just settled in and did her own thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing people do sometimes. I mean, what was driving me nuts about this movie though were a lot of like the matte inserts that they used.
Mm.
So the very beginning of the movie, Godzilla is terrorizing Tokyo as he is wont to do.
Hong Kong.
And
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Oh,
He's
sorry.
in Hong Kong.
Sorry. But anyway, giant lizard, bigger than buildings, walking. The insert that they used of the people on the streets was just like regular nighttime, just whatever. Whatever happens, I guess.
I don't know, for me, the only moments that was like, that's clearly still a model is when they had the Navy ships sailing alongside. It was like, there are no people on the deck. That is clearly a toy boat.
Yep.
Everything else I thought actually were rather solid.
Remind me, what was the name of like their special like airplane with the
the Super X3.
The Super X3. Okay, again, let's talk inserts. Because you get the voice over the loudspeaker, telling them to rush to their stations, and these dudes just like la, 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 la.
Yeah, they just go around. And
it felt like a toy. It looked and felt like a toy. And then at some point, I thought I was watching Thunderbirds.
That is a nice little some more continuity though, because Super X3 was introduced in The Return of Godzilla in 1984, and they kept using it periodically. In fact, the way that they kind of cooled him down by shooting the I think chromium missiles into his mouth.
Yeah,
they used that in Godzilla versus The Return of Godzilla as well.
Okay.
So
see, I didn't realize how much I was going to have to watch in between these. I mean,
I think it gives you enough to kind of make, but this one does definitely benefit from having watched more Godzilla movies.
There's 41 years in between these movies.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Godzilla 1954, and I'm assuming what we're going to watch next week. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming. I feel like this one is more of the stereotypical Godzilla movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind because I actually really like the stereotypical Godzilla movies. I love
and there's a lot to like about it. I love the Godzilla puppet. I felt like that was man in suit.
Yeah,
that was really good. The junior stuff as well, which came so late in the movie.
And I mean, that was actually another tie back is when Godzilla was actually melting down. That looked like it was like shot for shot remake from the original when actually Destroyah was hitting him.
Yeah,
so, the skin was melting off. You had that one last cry, and then
just melted into a puddle of goo, and then The weird thing was this movie ended so abruptly. Oh, we got a comment. The Godzilla suit in this movie is tough for me. There's something about and Kurt, that is something I loved about this movie. I mean, when I first started watching it, before I knew what was going on, I'm like, oh great, this is like Batman in his ice costume. It's just trying to sell more toys to Japanese kids.
Net launcher Batman.
Exactly. Battle damage He-Man. This damage would actually crush a man's chest, not He-Man.
But yeah, no, there is a reason for all like the red marks and weird kind of scars on his bodies.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot. Excuse me, the explanation of it worked for me as well.
Yeah, for me, like I think for me the first act is definitely the weakest one because it felt a little disorganized. They had a lot of different pieces that they had to start moving into place, and it didn't always flow correctly. For me, once the Destroyers started appearing, that's when I think things started really clicking together.
It took a long time for that to happen, it felt like.
About 25, 30 minutes, I would say. It's an hour and 40 minute long movie. So.
Right. It's 10 minutes longer than the original. But I don't know, I just felt like the ending of the movie ended so abruptly. It's almost like, come on, we gotta go. And because it was just like my stream gave up on me when I was watching. I'm like, what did I miss? Because when I went to go back and play it, it went right back to the beginning. I'm like, oh shit! So I gotta move the tracker, and it was just like, what did I miss? Oh, okay. There's Junior. Yeah. Backlights. The end.
I do think it was interesting that, like, as it was going through like all the mist and like seeing the outline of Junior, like as the full Godzilla, and then you see him have his mouth open as if he's yelling, he's roaring, but I don't hear anything until like the last minute, like the last moment you hear that roar, and then it cuts out. I'm like, I kind of like, while you were going through the mist, I would have loved to hear the roar then. And then you're like, oh wait, is Godzilla? Did he survive somehow? And then as you see Junior, it's like, oh, it's because. So, but I don't know, for some reason I think the sound would have worked more if you've heard that before you saw him. And instead you saw him, and then you hear him at the last minute.
Yeah,
I was hoping for the other way around.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I still love this movie. And when Godzilla like trying to revive Junior, and then when he's actually melting down, I every single time I watch that, I start feeling a little emotional about it.
Yeah,
because I think the music. We started talking about the music last time and we didn't quite make it.
Right, I'm pulling it up.
But yeah, Akira Ifukube. He did the music for this one, and he did the music for 1954. He did music for
throughout. This was his last one.
Yeah, and this was also Momoko Kochi. This is her last role as well, her last film role.
Yeah.
She died like a couple years later. And Akira Ifukube, he died like. He didn't die right after this one.
No, he died in 2006.
Yeah, so he just decided to like just step away from movies after a while.
He's 80 years old when he was doing the music for this. And just remember too, a lot of this music is recycled.
Yeah.
A ton of this was recycled from the first movie. I can only imagine how much from the other movies was recycled as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but one of the things I like most about the Heisei is that, like, back in like the original Godzilla era, I think they call it the Reiwa era.
Yeah.
Godzilla kind of became just like the friend to all children, if you excuse me, pardon the connection.
Yeah. But it was almost like, I mean, how the hell do they communicate with Godzilla to like be like, hey, dude, be cool? I mean, I understand Gamera. I mean, Gamera is a giant turtle, but Godzilla is like, okay, well, Godzilla never hurt anybody. Godzilla's on our side.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like I think in 1984, they were like, no. So during the whole Heisei, he was just this force of nature that they had to just try and deal with and mitigate whenever they could.
Right.
And they've kind of like, I don't know, in the whole, the American co-productions, now he's kind of gone back to, he's a force of nature, but he's a good force of nature that tries to help people, but still destroy a lot of things. And
it's hard not to when you're that big,
Yeah.
Your tail is like a mile long. You're going to knock down some buildings.
Yeah.
He's not a cat. He can't just like keep it up with a cat,
Actually, technically speaking, he kind of is. they actually when they redesigned him for 1984, they got the features of they used feline features to kind of mold it.
Really?
Yeah. They kind of used more of a feline lizard combination to do
but not the
new
tail.
Godzilla.
I'm just talking about the tail.
Oh no, no,
yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm just talking about the tail. I mean, he's got dinosaur legs and a giant dinosaur tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was a fun watch. I will give it that. It was a fun watch because you really are going into this just, you get what you get. You get, it lived up to every expectation I had for a standard Godzilla movie, especially these late period Godzilla movies prior to trying to reintroduce Godzilla to an American audience. With 98.
Yeah. They were
totally,
actually they were going to hold off making another Godzilla movie until like 2005 for the 50th anniversary. But after 1998, they were like, no, we got to do something to revive our brand now.
Right.
So they did it in 1999. And that Godzilla 2000 was actually the first Godzilla movie I saw in theaters.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I went and saw that one in theaters.
Okay.
I had fun with it too.
Yeah, I've never seen one of these in the theaters. These were always like a channel, like Channel 56, Creature Double Feature type of thing where, eventually you get, all the different characters. You got Rodan, you got Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those Creature Double Features, those made very prolific use of the Reiwa movies.
Oh yeah, they had to. Had to. That's all they had the rights to.
Yeah.
But that's excuse me. That's what that's what it is.
Yeah. Sorry.
Again,
my kitty's looking to go out.
No, that's fine. Again, this movie is fun for what it is, and this movie, it's just dudes in rubber suits, beating the shit out of each other, knocking down a whole bunch of really well-scaled models.
Oh yeah, the model work in this one is absolutely spot on.
The model work is really good in this. I felt like I was more impressed with the model work in 54 only because it was still kind of like new technology.
That's fair. That's
trying to figure out a way with this new technology of setting the cameras up to make it look realistic to everything except for some of those crashing cars. But this one, there were certain scenes that really felt like it was a model.
Yeah.
And, like I said, Giant Destroyah felt like a toy. It felt like a suit. It didn't, Godzilla, it felt like it had life in it.
Yeah, Godzilla was a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
Destroyah was a little bit more bulky, not as mobile.
I wouldn't be one bit shocked if it was designed on the back of a cocktail napkin. It's just kind of had that look. And even the mini Destroyers were the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, the model work, the actual practical effects for the mini Destroyers, though, those were solid, too.
Yeah, no, they were good. They were good. They were, adult-sized models.
Yeah.
But I thought they worked pretty well.
Yeah.
So, cool. I don't really know if I've got anything else to say about this one. It was fun. It was definitely fun. But if I'm being 100% honest, had I gone back and watched a few more of these just to kind of see the differences, because you were very passionate about wanting to do this one. I really wanted to see what the major differences were going to be between this and, the first one, obviously. But seeing a few of the others in between, if they kind of tie the story together. Or if this is just kind of a step up in all of the production aspects. Because unfortunately for me, and this is just nothing to do with the movie itself, coming from going to 54 and then going to this one, kind of felt like I was a kid again watching Channel 56.
Yeah, no, I totally buy that. For me, this is one of the best kind of the stereotypical Godzilla movies.
Yep.
So with 50 and all the connections back with 54, I thought that this would be a good one to kind of bridge the gap between that one and what we're doing next week.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, that's our, I think that's our quick take on Godzilla versus Destroyah. So my little cat's out of the bag, or the cat lizard is out of the bag. Next week we are coming back to talk some more Gojira, and this time we are going -1, the only Godzilla movie to ever win an Academy Award.
Yeah.
It is on Netflix. It is available on Netflix both in color and black and white. So I might treat myself to black and white this time when I do the rewatch. Uh-oh. Yes.
I kind of thought that would be a reaction for you.
It's going to be, honestly, I can't wait for you to see it. I really can't. Again, based on your love of these movies, I really, really am interested in seeing what your thoughts are on something. I don't want to say with a budget, because from everything I've heard, this movie had next to no budget, and that just means they overworked everybody on they overworked and underpaid everybody involved with this movie. I will get into that rant next week.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested myself, mainly because, like I said, I really like these kind of stereotypical Godzilla movies. I have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
So seeing something a little bit more serious, a little bit more along the lines of 1954, I'm kind of I genuinely do not know how I will react to it. So I think it'll be interesting.
We're just got to find out now, aren't we?
Yes, we will.
Lovely. So we want to know, what are your thoughts on Godzilla versus Destroyah? See if they bring. Oh, well, stop drilling, Kurt. You've hit oil.
I think I'll watch the beginning of it in black and white and then go to color.
You can't do that. You got to actually watch the separate movie.
Yeah, I know. I can do that.
It's like back about 10 years ago when Logan and Fury Road came out. You could actually watch it. I know Logan, you could just do it right from the Blu-ray. You could actually watch it in the noir setting, which is, again, I will talk about that when we talk about it. But again, we want to know what your thoughts on Godzilla versus Destroyah. Where does this rank in your overall rankings of Godzilla movies? There are so many of them.
Yeah.
There are so many of them. So leave a polite comment below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel. You see Godzilla on there, you're like, oh, I gotta watch that. Yes, thank you. Go back, check last week's episode where we talked about Godzilla 1954, and then go back, check out our archives, because we get tons of movie reviews. You can also follow us on the socials. We are Geek Salad Podcast on Facebook and at Geek Salad Radio on Blue Sky and Twitter. The Twitter, I barely engage with it now, so I'm just doing it to put announcements for shows up and just to keep the domain. That's all I'm using it for. Mike and I also host a podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Too many podcatchers to mention, so I'm not going to. Check out our latest episodes where we took a look back at the movies of 1994. We should have a new episode coming up pretty soon. So yeah. Until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, there we go.